Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to be talking about how to add a date filter in SSRS, and this is very confusing for a lot of people. Even for myself it was initially confusing, but let us first of all show what are the wrong ways to do before showing us the right way to do it. So first few things you might, why do we want to learn how to do the wrong way? Because it just helps us to think better about how it works. So you might think, oh, so let's show example. So let's assume somebody wants to, let's select all from these reports. They want to be able to choose, 2009, 2008, or just 2010 data, right? So that's one way. So you remember the way we did like the normal department filter, so we can maybe think of the same thing. Remember, we're also working with the human resources data, so we just come here and do something like maybe select these things, start dates from this. So just the same way we did like the text one, right? So we copy that, and we remember this is the wrong way, so we click on the data set, add data sets, use a shared data set, data sources is, we copy this, and we name this just say para dates, right? So we have that, and we click on OK. So we don't want to add our date parameter, add parameter. So this says, so we call our parameter dates para underscore date. So remember, it just depends on you. Select a date, and we can say, oh, what's the type, right? Maybe leave it as text. You probably are not sure what you need to do. So available values, get it from a specified query. So para dates, the field is the start date, and let's see what this brings. So remember, also we need to come to our data set. So do data set properties. So take away this and start dates, let's say in, just put it this way, in arts. So remember, whatever is here is what we call our parameter. So I'll call this para dates at para dates. I mean, this is just so that everything is very clear. You can call this any name you want. We click on design, we choose like the departments, then the dates. You're like, oh, this is not making sense. Like, this is going to work, right? This is going to work. But so let me select all. This is going to work, but this is not like user friendly. This is not what you want to give the stakeholder. You might wonder, oh, what if I change this to data sets property and I say maybe allow multiple values, right? We come right here, allow multiple values, still do select all, still the same thing. Just like you can't allow the stakeholder. Imagine you want to choose between like 1 year. This is a lot, right? So this is not what you really want, right? Imagine also you're like, oh, what if we come here and do data sets property, and we change this type to like a date, and time is still not working. Select dates, still not working. So that's not what we want to do. So then the question is, what's the right way to do? So first few things, let's delete this parameter dates. Delete it. Then we also delete data set because we don't need it. And we need to go back to our query to take out what we added here as a clause. So what we added here as the clause was and start dates in this, so we take that away. So what we need to do is, it's a little bit different when it comes to text, when it comes to dates, data. So we need to add a parameter. Most when you think about dates, there's always like a start date and an end date, like from the beginning to the end, right? So I'm just going to call this add parameter, and I'll call this begin date. So I want to call this, let me just call this begin date, and I'll just say select starting date. select starting date, and I'll make the date time, the type date time. Available values none. That's what you want to do. So by default, this just becomes like a date in itself. So if you click on this, so if I come to preview, you saw that this is showing me a date calendar. So this is already looking like what we want, right? But it's still not exactly what we want. So we then need to choose the ending date. So we add parameter again. So it's called end date. So what was the measure? So I did end underscore date, right? And just select end date, because if you just have one, it only allows you to just choose one date, and most time you want to choose a range when it comes to a date. Change the type to date time, remember, and everything is null and all of that. The only things you can come here and default value, but we don't want to talk about that in this video, and we do that. So we have two end dates. We have a start date and we have the end date. So how do we link this to this report right here? So what we need to do is we just have to come here to our table and dataset properties. So undo, and this start date here, what we have is between our two parameters, right? So what are our two parameters? Is between at begin date and end date. So make sure that you don't put end date, like you don't begin date and end date, you don't mix them up. So you try to end dates. So, and it's very important that you put this at. So let's see if this will work. So come right here, we come to preview. So we choose all of these. So we choose a date. We know that the date is like way back 2006, because if you choose just more recent dates, you could come here and choose as that, so 2006, right? Let's say you want to just choose January 2006 to um to that of 2000, because it's going to show me everything, so you can be sure that this is working. 2000 and let me say 2008 January, February, and we click on view reports. So we see this is just showing 2008 and 2007, and that is how to like add a date parameter to your SSRS report. In the next video we're going to be talking about more features you can add to your SSRS report. Watch out for that. Ciao.